everyone, and welcome to today's episode of Piano TV. Why yes, I do have a very beautiful wall behind me. Got to work on improving this background situation. That's going to be a work in progress. Also wanted to let you guys know, if you haven't joined the 14-day challenge yet, it's still only halfway through, so you still have time to participate. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, just check out the YouTube page. I've been going live every single day, just throwing a new challenge at you. And these are simple challenges. These are things that you can complete in 5 to 10 minutes. So anyway, check out what's been going on live on YouTube. Go hang out on our Facebook page, facebook.com/pianotvnet. See what other people have been posting and join yourself. It's been a lot of fun so far. Today, we are going to talk about something that is very near and dear to my heart, and we're going to discuss a webinar that I'm going to be putting on in a week. And the topic is all about designing your own piano path. On Saturday, February 22nd at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'm going to be going live doing a webinar on designing your own piano path, 6 steps. And I go into some of the problems that adult piano students tend to face when they're trying to figure out where they're going with their piano studies. And we try to address them in 6 different points, as well as get you exploring and asking yourself questions. There's a ton of piano music that exists out there in the universe, and it can be really difficult to know what to learn and what to pick up and what pieces are at an appropriate level and all of those things. Just based on the sheer volume of emails that I've received over the years, many adult students face a lot of uncertainty and trepidation about choosing music because they're not sure if what they're learning is the right thing, like if they're headed in the right direction or if they're just kind of spinning their wheels. And it can be very difficult to know that. So that's why I wanted to talk about it in the webinar. There is a sign up link below, so definitely check that out. Get signed up so you're able to catch the webinar. It's not going to be on YouTube, so unless you sign up, you're not going to get to see it. My goal with this webinar is to help you take charge of your piano journey. And I'm going to do this in a few different ways. So one of them is teaching you the key points to designing your own piano path and how to avoid some of the common pitfalls that tend to occur along the way. Another way I'll be helping is by providing a special fun little freebie for those of you who participate in the live webinar. It won't be available to anyone else, only webinar participants, and I'm not going to say any more about that. And finally, in the webinar, I'm also going to mention a very exciting thing that I've been working on. I don't want to say too much about it yet because we'll talk about it much more in depth in the webinar next week and beyond that, but there is going to be a surprise announcement. So the reason that I'm putting on this webinar and that I've been working really hard on a project that I'll talk about shortly is because when I started teaching piano, especially in the very early days when I was just a kid thrown into a situation where I was teaching a whole bunch of kids, I was slightly less of a kid than they were, but still I was basically a kid in my early 20s. So I had no idea what I was doing, and I also had so much insecurity about whether or not I was actually genuinely helping these kids along their musical path. I knew how to kind of help them on a weekly basis. I felt pretty okay correcting their mistakes, like if they had rhythm mistakes or whatever, I was like, okay, I got this. But in terms of anything beyond the week to week, like in terms of anything in a longer range sense, I felt really lost. When I started teaching piano in Toronto independently, when I would go to people's houses, I was really inspired by all these high-achieving kids and their motivated teachers and their motivated parents who were playing really impressive things at music concerts and festivals, and they were doing well with their exams. And that kind of forced me to step up my game a little bit and kind of come up with an idea on how you could get someone from age 7 to 17, because I used to mainly teach children. About 1/4 of my students were adults. They're exclusively adults now. But how to get someone from age 7 to 17 from a complete beginner stage to somewhere between a grade 8 to 9 RCM level. Sometimes a little bit further, but those are kind of like the special exceptions. And I had to come up with my own curriculum based on music schools that already exist to figure out how I could teach and how I could structure my weekly lessons that were about the long range. It wasn't just about taking care of all the day-to-day basics. It was about actually going somewhere. So having a greater purpose for each individual practice session and having a sense of where all the lessons kind of fit into the wider context. It took me years to come up with something that I felt really comfortable with, to do some trial and error and test and experiment in my classroom. But I finally hit the point where I felt confident in that. So with that, in September, I started teaching a group of adults, and I've been using this information in my lessons with them. So I'll be giving them feedback, but I also share kind of like weekly lessons, essentially, based on my experience as a piano teacher in regards to designing a piano path. And that's been going really, really well. The problem is I created all of this information for my own personal use. And I've been using it with my students, but that's only something that can reach a small handful of people at absolute most. So I got to thinking, this information should be more widely available. This should be not the kind of thing I'm hoarding all to myself. This should be something that any self-learning adult, or even their teacher, or an adult who's learning with a teacher, should be able to have access to, so that they can have their own sense of where they're going with their piano studies. Anyway, this all ties into the project that I'm really excited to announce, that I'll be announcing on the webinar. But that is some of the stuff that we're going to be talking about during the webinar. How to, basically, what the title says, how to design your own piano path, how to choose repertoire, how to know what level you're at, how to know if what you're learning is appropriate, or if what you're learning is balanced, or if you're getting really lopsided in one direction. How to know that you're learning the foundational skills that a piano player should know how to do. How to know how to be confident with your decisions, with pieces that you select, with technique that you play, and so on. So anyway, I really hope that you come out to participate in this live event. It's going to be a lot of fun. Like I said, the sign up link is below, and you have to sign up in order to access it. It's not going to be something that I'm going to be broadcasting on YouTube. And once you sign up, you'll get an email with the workbook that you can look through, or you can just look at it the day of the webinar. That works too. But I want you to start thinking about some of the questions that are provided in the workbook. Another reason I wanted to do a live event like this, and I've never done a webinar. I used to do live events within my courses. So when we did 30 DOP and the 6 weeks of piano and songwriting workshop, there was always a live component to it, and it's so much fun. Honestly, there's such a unique energy that exists in a live event. So I do encourage you to come and attend live, and I know time zones and stuff are going to be a little bit of an issue. I tried to set 3 p.m. Eastern to be, it's good for people in North America, and I'm hoping some people in Europe and stuff. I know it gets a little bit more difficult for other time zones, but try to come out if you're able to, because you'll be able to interact with other people. There's going to be a chat function. You'll be able to ask me questions. There's like a Q&A function that we'll be able to utilize as well. And of course, I'll be sharing some of this information that I've learned over my years, over a decade. It's been well over a decade now, which is a little crazy to think about. But anyway, you can kind of pick my brain. I'll share my insights with you, and we can go along with the workbook, and it'll be a blast. Okay, so here are your action steps just to conclude everything. Sign up for the webinar, link below. When you sign up, you'll get an email with the download of the workbook. Definitely get your hands on that. And finally, mark your calendar for Saturday, February 22nd at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. And like I mentioned earlier, I've done plenty of live events before, but I've never done a webinar. It's much more of a, I don't want to say formal teaching experience, but it is slightly more structured perhaps than some of the online live stuff that I've done before. So I think it'll be really fun. It'll be unique because I've never done it before. It could be interesting. Maybe it'll even be a disaster. Sometimes technology likes to I don't know, what does technology like to do? Be mischievous. Sometimes technology likes to be mischievous, so that could be an interesting experience as well. Let us not call forth that experience though. Let's just call forth the experience that this will be wonderful and awesome. And I'm looking forward to seeing you there. Talk soon. Bye guys.